everyone, my name is Jen O'Sullivan with Jen O'Sullivan Photography, and I wanted to talk to you about some mistakes that brides make when booking their wedding photographer. It's an interesting thing because so many photographers today are trained without film. And one thing to ask your photographer is to ask them how they were trained. And I'm not saying that someone that wasn't trained without film is bad. They're not. There are so many phenomenal photographers out there. However, one of the interesting things, and there's a phenomenon that's happening with digital, and it's not even happening, it's happened, is that we all spray and pray. What that means is we take thousands of pictures hoping that a few turn out. Now, back in the film days, we didn't do that. You know, we had to really make sure that what we got in camera was good. And it wasn't something where we had, 20 chances to get the same shot of flowers. So one thing to ask your photographer is to understand how many photos they're taking for the day of your wedding compared to how many photos they're actually getting. And I like to really encourage my clients to ask questions of any photographer they're hiring, and not necessarily how they were trained, but how they actually operate and how they're understanding the idea of taking a photo, and is it something that they capture based on lighting or fixing it in Photoshop. So the easiest question to ask a photographer is, do you do a lot of Photoshop work? Like can you retouch our shots? Now, most photographers, if they're good, should say yes, of course. I can retouch your work. I'm great with Photoshop. But what you're going to look for is the follow-up to that, is how many photos are retouched? How many photos do you actually touch? Now, what I mean by that is not color balance and exposure correction. That's typical in anything. I mean, even in film, we had to color balance and exposure correct. That's when the prints came out. What I'm talking about is, are they doing anything special to them? Are they putting any filters on them? Are they enhancing the eyes or enhancing the skin or doing things to correct lighting issues? And that often is what happens. And so if I'm not asking you to trip somebody up, but I do want you to ask them intelligent questions so that you can get the best out of your photo work. So one thing with my photography is 90% of my work is not retouched. And what that means is I'm not photoshopping it. There are a few instances where you'll see HDR photos because those are just cool. But when it comes down to it, I find the light. I find the best lighting possible. And I love doing that for my clients because then that means the majority of their photos look great throughout from beginning to end, rather than, okay, this is great, but we can Photoshop it. And then I don't have to spend 40 hours retouching all of their photos so that at least the suite of photos that they get looks good. I'm confident knowing that all my photos look good. So that's one area that you can talk to your photographer about, is just ask them quickly how much Photoshop work they do. And if they can't give you a solid answer, I would really look at their photos and say, is that Photoshopped? What did they do to it? Really look at their enhancements to the actual end product and then go from there. Alright, you guys, so my name is Jen O'Sullivan with Jen O'Sullivan Photography, and I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.